Okay, so welcome to Stories of Awakening Update with myself, Mary Jo, and I have two beautiful guests back, Janine Savient and Sharron Martin. And I'm so excited and delighted to be here with you today and just to have this opportunity to connect. I was just calculating, I think it's about 3 months since we were all on together. Is that about right? Was it September?
Oh my gosh, 3 months, it could be.
I can't remember.
It could be last year.
Yeah.
Time now.
Anyhow, I did get the guidance to invite you back on to reconnect and to re-update and expand out into the horizon as well. So yeah, so I'd love to actually, in this now new moment, this is what came to me this morning, just to ask you again, we'll start with you, Sharron. What is, like, maybe you just say your location in that, but what is awakening for you? How do you describe awakening in this now moment?
Whoa, that's a big question. Okay, so I think there are maybe, I'm just plucking at a number, maybe 3 major things that are happening. So I think for everyone, I think this is a fair comment for everyone. The timelines are collapsing. And so we are more and more unable to connect to the physical calendar and the physical time. So many people will be having lots of experiences of, when did that happen? Was that yesterday, this morning, or last week? Because we've just lost that aspect of the matrix, many of us. And that will become everyone's experience eventually. And then on top of that, the timelines have been kind of concertinaing, like this collapse of cards. And so it's like this: if you have your physical body and then your energetical body and then your higher self body and then aspects of self at many, many dimensions, it's like as we clear out, more of that can come into this physical body. So people's gifts and talents and wisdoms are able to come in for them to start to use in this existence. So that's another timeline change. Or yeah, it's been shown to me like this collapsing of a stack of cards. And then the third thing is this: we're in this transition time of, depending on where you're at on your journey, it could be that you're like the gemstone that's in the polishing stages, or it could be that you're still in this purging out things from the body, old beliefs, old patterns, old cellular memory, closing off karmic loops, etc. And then bringing in this new light, which is what the planet is doing as well. So we do it on our individual level, we do it as a collective, and then we do it in a planetary level. So we're really in this super accelerated time at the moment, and it's getting faster every single day. And so yeah, that's awakening for me. It's dropping more and more into my expanded self each moment.
Beautiful. And just to remind people where you're located, Sharron.
Yes, I live in the beautiful peninsula of Whangaparoa, just in the north of Auckland.
And we're all in New Zealand.
We are.
NZ. Woohoo. And you're both in the North Island. I'm on the South Island in Hammer Springs. So thanks for sharing that. We'll come round again, and on to you, Janine. What is awakening for you in this now moment?
Well, I totally concur with everything that Sharron has said. And so for me, awakening is stepping more into our multi-dimensional selves here in this reality, in this now moment, in this body. So this body, this physical body, is the focal point of our spirituality right now. And as Sharron said, the timelines are collapsing, the multidimensionalness of us and all that we are in those timelines are all coming into the I am presence right here in this now moment. But we need to make space for that. So that space comes about by facing the aspects of ourself that are rising within us that are, I could say, being made redundant, but actually what's happening is they're just not required as we move forward into the new higher vibrations. So we face them and fold them back into our heart, making space for so much more energy to come in. And we can see this happening right now through the deep tiredness, the exhaustion that is happening for people as the Schumann resonance rises, which is a wonderful gauge to feel the difference, to feel the change here. We can see within ourselves that we have moments of this deep tiredness, bone-weary tiredness, and then all of a sudden it's like a switch flicks and we're more full of life-giving energy than we've ever been before. So we have these moments of needing to rest, needing to lie down, needing to honour ourselves in saying no when maybe we might have said yes to people, and then moments where we're so full of energy, so connected to Gaia and everything else that beauty becomes like you feel like your heart's bursting at the seams with the absolute beauty of this world now. So we are in a time of flux, push, pull. It's called change. That's what it's called. So, and that comes about because the Schumann resonance, which is the cavity between the earth and the ionic sphere above, is building an energy. The energy is quickening and rising, and that brings change to the consciousness of us, which just filters all the way through. So as Sharron said before, with the concertining of the timelines now as well, there's so much happening. It's coming to us from all directions, and that's where the tiredness comes in and the extreme exhaustion at times. And I know that people have to still live their life. They still have to go to work and look after their families, but it's about honouring self whenever they can. Well, always, of course, but in any time that they have spare, don't fill it with something. Just be, just connect, just go out in nature, just paddle in the ocean. Just be is what's important now. Thank you. Thank you, Jo.
Where are you based, Janine?
Oh yes, well, right in this moment, I'm in Auckland again, and who knows in the next moment. So that's where I am right now, in Albany and Auckland, the North Shore. Just down the road, around the corner from Sharron.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you've been down to the South Island as well. You moving around, so.
Oh yes.
We'll see where you land next time. Well, you were talking just before. Thank you for sharing so much. Yeah, and I'm just some thoughts as you were speaking. That idea of slowing down to speed up our vibration, and that exhaustion is to slow us down, so that we will be. Because of course, the tendency of the human ego and the mind and the conditioning is to do, and kind of get swept up in that nervous system. Kind of programming, if you like. So it's near like the exhaustion has to be there, that it's for us, and when we can allow it and then give ourselves the grace of it to really realize, and I think that's why these conversations are so important as well, that it really is what nourishes us and replenishes us and reconnects, but recalibrates, reestablishes. And just as you said, that energy, that reignition of energy, it's like it's going, we just have to take that pause to drop deeper in than the outer layers of the self or the self-expression, and come back into that source 0 point, whatever it is, but just drop deeper in and fully replenish the self, to then kind of be reignited in that next expression, that next creative expression. I guess it's like we're like the paints, aren't we? We're being painted. So
absolutely.
The great artist within, the source point within, and that, and that's the greatest joy of creation, isn't it? When we can allow ourselves to drop back into that source point, our own unique source point and collective source point.
And the word that you used before, Mary Jo, allowing, holds the power of it, because in allowing we open to the change. In keeping on working, in doing what we've always done in this new energy, we're distracting from it. So we don't allow that change to come in. Therefore, there's a push-pull, there's a friction. And you know, every single person here is changing. Every single human being will change in their own time, at their own speed. But it can be a gentle-ish process, a smooth-ish process, or it can be a harsh, abrasive process, but it's going to happen. So up to
And I
us.
feel like it is the allowing that allows it to be more gentle, and the more we resist, the more it persists, and
Yes.
that kind of backlog builds up, and that pushback kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's where it shows up, yeah, in the body or in the life, until eventually we're willing to allow. We're willing to stop resisting. And I've definitely noticed that within myself, within the changes in my life that's beckoning from my heart and my soul, and noticing my patterns of being busy, of doing, of saying yes when I need to be saying more no's, and learning over these months of really creating more space for myself and honoring myself with that spaciousness and what's being called within me, even if that's very different to somebody else. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Very true. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's an individual journey for us all.
And I think it's not about so much saying yes or no to others, it's about saying yes to self.
Yeah.
You know, so this is the way that
Absolutely,
you
yes.
shift things around. What's the gentle thing for me here? What's the honouring thing for self?
Well, that for in my world, and I think in a lot of people's world, that does actually mean saying no to other people. And I found that really really challenging this year. And I didn't know how much I had a pattern of saying yes and saying no to my inner being.
Yes. And so that's how you can reframe it, Mary Jo. So you are saying no, but in your mind, because many people hold that very strong patterning about they're an automatic yes, they're an automatic agreement,
Exactly.
they're an automatic, oh, I can do that anyway. And so if you just make a pause, then you shift it back to what is it that I need here, and what is saying yes to me. And so then the challenge of saying no is reduced, is shifted around. So it's always about, you know, we can see things on so many levels, and that's the same with exhaustion. So I wanted to just add in about that. So you're absolutely correct that exhaustion is making people really kind of stop in their tracks because they need to lie down. You know, it's that extreme. But on another level, that exhaustion is coming from the alchemizing that's going on in our body, as our body's shifting from carbon to silica crystalline, and because our bodies are actually conduits for these codes and these lights that are coming in. You know, they come into our body in many ways, and for our personal aspects of it, they come through our body or into our skin or down through our central pillar, and they get housed in, well, this is what I'm being shown, they get housed in the earth star crystalline chakra, and then from there they're catalyzed up into the body when is the sort of divine timing of it. And so that's another aspect of our exhaustion, is that we're shifting, you know, we remember we're ascending with our physical form, and so our bodies are working really, really hard.
How have you been experiencing it, Sharron? I'd like to your actual personal experience. How have you been experiencing the latter months in terms of just giving some context to what that is, to releasing that which is complete or what doesn't serve us, and allowing that space to that energy to ground and then activate?
Well, I have a lot of, I guess, personal practice. So, you know, I have a personal practice of meditation. I have a personal practice of connecting into the earth. And of course, I have a regular meeting with Gaia, if you like. I have become more attuned to what's going in my body. I'm eating lighter. I have phases where I don't eat at all, And then I have phases where I feel like I just eat continuously for a couple of hours, you know. And so last night I had this beautiful big green salad, and then I was, I'm still hungry. And so then I ate an entire punnet of blueberries and an entire punnet of blackberries. I just was eating for a couple of hours. I have these times where it's really interesting, though, it blows me away how our team, our spirit teams or our higher selves orchestrate these spaces. And so I had a friend come and he said to me, "Don't tell me you haven't been exhausted." And I said, well, actually, that, you know, yesterday I moved from one horizontal place to another and I just spent the entire day doing that. But I was just granted that space. I hadn't booked anything to do, and was my day off from clients. And so I have one of those at the moment. On some level, every week, I have a space where I think, oh, great, I've got all this space, I might paint. And then I just end up mooching around. And the other thing that happens for me is I have these energies come in and I feel them coming. And I just have this sense of them coming. And then it's almost, you know, when you're so tired that you just kind of nod off. It's like that. All of a sudden I'm like, I'm just about asleep. And so that's my experience. And
that's really it's a good way of explaining what allowing looks like.
Yeah. And you know, I've learned that, man, has that been my journey in life. You know, I'm the person who pushes the train back. It's really been my lesson to surrender and to be in an allowance. But we're just going through these amazing times, and so, you know, and I'm the ultimate little optimist, and I always see the good, and I'm always looking for the learning or the, you know, the excitement or the blessings. And so, you know, I sit with that attitude, which is helpful, and I don't go into any fear around any of it, because I really hold the knowing that we're moving into something beautiful and exquisite and new in our world, and I feel very privileged to be a part of it.
Beautiful. What about for you, Janine? How does it look for you?
My role here, and I've known this for a very long time, is to connect with hearts and support people to know the absolute beauty of themselves, that is who they are, beyond all the doubt and fear that's built up in their mind, their conditioned mind, move into their unconditional heart. So last October, just over a year ago, I was asked by the greater part of myself to step up and to walk my talk more. And that looked like, to start with, being guided by my heart more, trusting in the process. And so that's why the traveling around all the time, because I'm learning to trust in the flow of my heart self, and just know that I'm going to be taken care of. I'm going to have every one of my needs met, my desires manifested, and it's just going to be an absolute natural process for me. So that's what's been happening for me over the last 14 months. And what fills my heart more than anything is connecting to the hearts of others and feeling the beauty of them, and that reflects back to me, and that's like fodder. It's like food for my heart and fills me with the absolute joy. What I'm finding now is, just recently, is I want to play more. I want to, like, I very easily bring the inner child out, but life's been too serious for too long for me, and what raises me up quicker than anything is not the deep connection that I find every day when I do my meditation, is is the play, is the joy, is the fun, is the laughter, is the silliness, and sometimes some people may even call it childishness, but to me that's a compliment, because I'm letting the child play. So I'm looking for that more. It's like, yeah, there's others out there that are wanting to play too, and it's not just about coming together and chatting or anything like that. It's actually about laughter and the silliness in the moments, you know. So I'm finding that more and more important at the moment, as well as the meditation, as well as Sharron mentioned, the foods we put into our body. This has been a big one for me in this lifetime, my emotional connection to food, and I'm eating less and less. I'm experiencing a whole different way of being now, and the lightness that's in my body because of this, the alignment between body, mind, heart because of this. It's like, this is a learning that as I said before, that the body is the focal point of our spirituality, and it's about bringing all that we are within this point now. But this body must be ready. It must be healthy and aligned and ready to hold the heightening vibrations that are coming into it. So it's a body temple, as I've heard it called so many times, and now I'm deeply realizing it's a body temple, which is wonderful for me, because as I'm realizing it now, I deepen my support for others. So, and that's my joy. That's my joy.
What's your experience, Mary Jo? What's been happening during this time?
Well, you know, when you were speaking there, Janine, just about the last 14 months, about traveling around and being really invited to step into greater trust and greater, allowing all your, you know, trusting all your needs being met. And so I could really resonate with that, because that's what it feels like is happening for me. And I'm still in that transition of really allowing myself to allow that and unfold that. But yeah, definitely the joy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I guess I've been distinguishing, going back to what we're talking about, the doing and the being, and noticing kind of where I've set my life up to be of service to others. It's kind of going back to the yes and the no. And so there's been a lot of kind of clarity around that over these latter months. And, you know, the head will come up with lots of ideas, you know, because I'm running a business and and, you know, or even this is who I am. This is who I am. You know, I'm always in service to others. But again, what I didn't realize is how much I wasn't truly serving myself and serving my own needs. So that's been really interesting to notice the kind of where I can't do that anymore, actually, because actually, yeah, feeling like no inside of me, this stronger no is like, this is not okay. And even to the point of getting quite feisty, really. But eventually having to say, you know, get stronger in the clarity with myself and how I'm conducting my life, you know, and orchestrating it. But noticing, going back to what you're saying, noticing in the beingness, just how things just unfold effortlessly. And it's not something I have to do. And I know both of you know this, you know, it's like, it's in that, it's like the timelessness when there isn't really a structure so much, or the schedule, or that more masculine kind of left brain way of doing things, and in the freedom of the heart, and that it just is spontaneous expression, creation. And I find myself, when I have those days, that I'm just creating, whether it's creating food or, you know, things are just happening, but it feels so effortless and it's so joyful. Or whether that's out in nature, or whether it's actually on a practice, it seems practically I'm getting stuff done, but it's coming from a very different place, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, that inspired action is a really powerful mechanism for getting things done. It's amazing how much you can get done when you just work with inspired action. And so this is just all part of our releasing these old programs and paradigms that we have been very strongly held in through our families and through our education system and through the variant kind of community and social expectations. And it, you know, it can be, well, you know, we're just always doing this spiraling thing, learning something to a deeper level, experiencing something to a higher frequency, and that's letting those very patterns go, isn't it? And then we discover that we can work in a new way, and that it actually works better, even though in our old paradigm we would never have been able to perceive that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was going to say. It's a shift of paradigm. So noticing the old paradigm in me, and it came up in I had a massage training. I've been, the last 2 weeks, I've been doing a lot of trainings, which has been awesome, but I noticed it come up again. And I could feel how there was a belief, and I even shared it with everybody in the training. And I said, right, this is what's coming up for me. I was like, do I share this, don't I? But trusting that everything is in divine flow, then whatever's coming up for me is to be, you know, is perfect. So I was like, okay, trusted that. And I said, okay, does everybody realize that we are in a consciousness shift? So everybody put their hands up. I was like, phew, okay, now I've got context to explain what's going on here. So the old paradigm me has a belief that I don't get taken care of when I'm taking care of others. And that is bumping up against the new paradigm, or the expanded heart consciousness, that absolutely knows that I get taken care of, and in the taking care of the I, all gets taken care of, that it's an and, basically, rather than an either or. So over in the old paradigm, or the 3D, or whatever you want to call it, I'm either caring for others or I'm caring for self. And so that's what I've been really kind of playing with and dancing with within myself, is those two consciousnesses, to kind of harmonize, if you like, so that I can really make peace and integrate that, truly, truly, truly bring those parts of myself on board, inner child, you know, whatever we want to call it, and know that I can relax and play, just like what you're saying, be in the joyousness of my beingness, taking care of myself, and trust and know that all is taken care of in that. I don't need to separate myself off, which was my old paradigm or belief or habit, in order to provide for others, or in order for others to be taken care of. Yeah.
And that comes from the practice of being so present in the moment that you can be guided by your inner being.
And let me tell you another little bit to that story, which was so amazing when I actually shared. And of course, it's about being authentic and being raw and real, and that's definitely part of my gig, and how I share in my trainings, and how I'm supporting my therapist. Because of course, a big part of my holistic intuitive massage training is supporting therapists in their self-care, and to know that they have to care for themselves, caring for others. And as a lot of carers, we do tend to be the givers and not always so good at the receiving and including ourselves. And that's certainly been the way it's been, you know, and a lot of other trainings don't include that. So, you know, so it was so perfect. But what was so amazing is when I really shared authentically, and there was a few tears of release, half the room was in tears. And as we went around the circle and everybody shared, of course, everyone said, I can relate to everybody. And it was just this magical depth of connection that I said to my husband afterwards, I was like, you know, that's what none of us will ever forget that.
Yeah.
None of us will ever forget it. It was so poignant and so authentic and touching, you know, for everybody. And to acknowledge that, maybe give it words, give it understanding, which is exactly what these videos are all about as well. So I can go, oh yeah, I get it. I can feel that in me. I can relate to that. So yeah.
To be in such a safe space and to allow one's vulnerability is the deepest heart opening and recognition of the other hearts within that circle. So it's like connecting one heart to another, connecting one soul to another, and we recognize each other. And it only takes a safe space created by somebody such as a facilitator like yourself, and these deep moments of change that can be life-changing, that alter direction in the moment happen. Those are the jewels.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were talking before about joy, and joy loves spontaneity. Absolutely loves spontaneity, because it can flow through without restriction in those moments where no mind is, because we have just followed our heart in that moment. It's what it's all about. It's what life's all about.
And I want to say it's even following the heart. Like what I noticed is like, it's, yeah, as you said, it's so spontaneous. Like it's nearly like, oh, I'm moving and all this stuff is happening and I'm just, you know, and I haven't been thinking about it. And I guess that's the difference, isn't it? There's no thought so much involved or planning. It just, yeah, following the flow of goodness.
Absolutely. I love that. Following the flow of goodness. Yeah.
Beautiful. And that whole thing about dropping out of the head allows us to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a practice that a lot of people are currently learning about.
Yes. And you know, the surprising thing for me is that I've noticed many people don't know how to drop into their heart. So you can say, drop into your heart and let's experience life from there. And so many clients have said to me, well, how do I do that? How do I drop into my heart? So there's a journey in and of itself, right from the word go, you know, is learning the heart's there, how it feels. And so often people are in their heart and they have no idea that they even are. So creating life from that magical, incredible place shows itself, and then people drop into it far more easily and naturally when they can see life showing up in a different way, and they feel so more incredible in regard to themselves and to others too, of course. We're heart-centered beings, ladies. We're heart-centered beings, not mind-driven. We're heart-centered, and we are coming home to ourselves.
That's exactly right. And that's why, of course, a lot of light workers, light warriors are feeling so exhausted, because we've had this slight shift. So where there was going to be a smaller number of beings who could ascend, and so I think we had this sort of built-in mechanism for the timing of that. And then we've been stretched and we've been stretched and we've been stretched. And for me, the way that I see it, it's like we got taken to the cliff and then we had to lean out over the cliff and then we just had to let go. And so that's where light workers are at the moment, because we've been holding space for ourselves and therefore for the collective, because all of the work that we do on ourselves affects the collective. And that's why we've been in this, you know, it's like we had this sense of, like that ad, you know, are we there yet? We've had that experience of feeling like we should have been there. And so we've been, leaning out over the cliff. And so now it's really, I think, forced us into that place of dropping into huge surrender. And you know, you can know, everyone, if you're in your head, if you're in worry or anxiety, you're in your head. So that can be a little guidance tool to use as well.
Anything else? Actually expand upon that, because I was going to touch back to Janine about that, but maybe if you continue, Sharron, about other ways to distinguish between the head and the heart for people.
Yeah, well, I was going to say to Janine, does she have something she teaches? I have something that I've been teaching people about that. Which
Do you both want to share? Do you want to share first, Sharron, and then Janine can share?
Okay, so I get people to use the vibrational experience of energy by starting with their hand on their head. Oh, I did this with you once, Mary Jo.
Yeah.
And so just leave a little bit of space and focus the breathing in and the breathing out on that space and that gap until you can feel the energy there. And then when you can feel the energy there, and a lot of people will feel that energy quite quickly because they're very in their head, but when you can feel that energy there, then you shift the focus to here. So this is this gradual shifting of the energetic focus. And so you breathe in there on the third eye, on the forehead, so you can feel the energy in that space. And then shift it to the throat. And as you're going, you can tune into your body and see if there's any kind of blocks or anything there. And then feel the energy between your hand and your throat, and then onto the heart. And then once you've done that as a practice, it's like retraining your body, you know. So it's like when you learn any new skill. So if you learn how to do a particular stroke with tennis or cricket or golf or softball, you do it a few times and then it becomes automated. And so you treat this a bit like that. So it's a skill you're teaching your body. And if you do that a few times a day for a few days, you'll just be able to go here to here, and then you'll just be able to go to here. And then when you get to here, you can start asking yourself questions and get the heart to respond, to feel into what the heart gives you. So you can ask the heart to give you what a yes feels like and feel into the energy of that. And then you can ask your heart to give you what a no looks like and feel into the energy of that. So, you know, there'll often be a shift in temperature, a change in the energy, and, you know, it will move forward or backward. It might warm up or cool down. It might contract or expand, all of those things. And so those are ways that people can, you know, have some practice about tuning into their own body. So I've found that works really well. What do you do, Janine?
It's a wonderful technique, Sharron. Wonderful technique, and I've never seen that before.
No, it's because I made it up.
Oh,
My own little invention.
fantastic. What I do with my clients is I take them on the inner journey to find their heart. And so I use the breath to help them slide down. So first of all, they connect consciously to their breath, and they're just sitting with their breath, breathing deeply in, right down through the heart and into the belly, and allowing the belly and the chest to expand in and out. And on each breath, I take them into a deeper place of just gentleness and kindness with themselves. I use music. I use the vibration of music, particular songs that will touch on a vulnerability or even a joy, whatever is sitting within the heart in that moment for that person. And then with a very gentle voice that I use with them, I take them on an inner journey once they are in that beautiful, sacred, safe place within themselves where they can view themselves. And it's profound what some people have seen when they've looked at themselves in that place. So sometimes there's a mirror and they go and pull the curtain off the mirror and just stand there. For a start, they look just like they do here, but then sometimes they change, and sometimes they really see themselves for the first time ever in their life. And so what I do is I teach them, I support them to know the power that sits within that place and the absolute love in that safe, sacred place, and that they can go there anytime they wish to. After they've really, after they feel the safe and secureness within that place, and they've used it a few times, I then start supporting them in the creative power that sits within that place too, and how to start altering their life around them by coming from that place more and more and more conscious present moments, until it's not something that they have to suddenly think of and go and do. They start living from that place. And then the excited joy that we share when they start saying, oh my God, Janine, this happened in my life and this happened in my life, because the field of possibilities and potential sits within that place. So when we live it more and more and more, there's more opportunities, there's more possibilities, there's more potential of absolute heart's desires comes into our life. So yeah, it's a journey. And you know, for some people it's so new. It's so new that it's a gentle step-by-step journey. But they only have to see for themselves what they can manifest. And it's like, yeah, another one found their way home.
A lot of
Yeah.
power.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, for me, I tend to use the breath and just gentle awareness of the body, really. And yeah, it's amazing. Just that dropping in and becoming more embodied, and then opening up with gratitude and yeah, planting those seeds of new creation in the subconscious.
Yep. And you know, darling ladies, this is, as you both know too, this is the greatest part of the awakening, is understanding that we've been conditioned for so long, conditioned in our minds, and have led from our minds because that's who we were taught. That's how we were taught that we were. Now it's about coming into the unconditional heart and realizing the truth of ourselves. So that's the biggest part of this awakening, in my view, is discovering what sits within us and who we are and what we are and why we are, and the simplicity of it is that we're everything, and yet that can be too far out there for so many people. So you just bring it back to moment, discovering what we can do within this reality to show ourselves who we are. Oh, and the joyful connection to others. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
I love it. I love it. I love it, because I think what I love as well, what you just mentioned, is I think it's so important to remind ourselves or remind others, you know, that we're not trying to get anywhere, even though it's unfolding and evolving, but it is every now precious, glorious moment of awareness and the tears of release. And, you know, that to the deeper self, this is the beauty, this is the love in its own recognition, and its own recognition of what it's not, its own recognition of what it is. And it's just so cherished. So
letting ourselves know that all is welcome. Every part, every aspect, every piece, every emotion, our attitudes, our beliefs, everything is welcome with us. Some will be folded back into our heart, and some will become us in the moving forward of who and what we are and our knowing of ourselves. So everything is welcome. I say that in my weekly group to the ones that are part of it. All of you is welcome here. Thank you for tuning up. All of you is welcome. So
I say that a lot in my retreats. When emotion comes, I say, we welcome your emotions, we welcome your feelings. It's all welcome. And we celebrate it all. It's all beautiful. And often I talk about emotions, and just to make people laugh. You know, it's like, you know, we're not robots. We do have emotion, and emotion is good. We've just put all these rules on this is okay and this is not. And so we've got all this kind of conditioning. But what if we welcome them all and realize that this is the tapestry of life, and the beautiful colors and the flavors, and yeah, that it's all what makes life.
I cry as easily as I laugh. So emotion.
I do it at the same time. I'm crying.
Yeah, emotion is very welcome to me. I look on it as one of my absolute strengths, is allowing myself to feel and be my emotion whenever I want to be.
Yeah,
and that's all part of our integration.
Yeah.
and coming into greater loving of self, and then we have choices to access those points of self that are on the spectrum everywhere.
And actually, another thing I say to people is, like, emotions are the realest part of life.
Yeah.
It is really what connects, and that you can't fake emotions. Even actresses or actors have to think of an emotion of another time, of something
the
real
flavor
that
of
happened, in order to bring on that emotion. So emotion is one of the realest connections that we have to our experience of life, and how we're managing or interpreting that or feeling that. So yeah, emotions.
And the highest part of us loves the emotional journey, absolutely loves the emotional journey, and that's why the aspect of itself is here. Experiencing this reality is for the emotional journey. Is a huge part of it.
Yeah, and we can see that emotion is energy in motion. So it's the charging element, it's the supportive emotional field, if you like, to our creation. And that's the point we're moving to. As we release the density, we're able to move into higher and higher co-creation within self and with partners and with groups and the collective. That's where we're shifting to. We're going to co-create our new world.
Exciting.
Yay.
Yeah.
And without the emotions or without the feeling. And I just want to go back to distinguish between the two, and maybe you can add a bit in as well, because I think this is sometimes why we can be a little bit confused or our mind can get in the way, is at least what I've been kind of discovering and distinguishing is that oftentimes why our emotional body or emotions can get us kind of stuck as well, is when the mind gets involved and makes up a story about what that means about us, etc., 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 or what it means about something in the past and so on, or something, what we're going to be in the future, etc., etc. But when we allow our emotion and we really, really allow it, that underneath what can seem like a very pronounced emotion, for example, is pure feeling, pure vibration, pure energy, and just bringing it around to what you're talking about, that's pure creativity. That's where we're really, as we awaken more, is fine-tuning our frequency to create our realities. So that's the beauty of it. But on the surface level, especially when the ego is very attached and has a lot of story about emotions, it can kind of get us in a bit of a sticky place as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to me, it's about when you've done enough clearing, you get emotional choice. So you're not triggered into an emotion. You choose the emotion you wish to experience to drive what you're doing, if you like, in that kind of old-fashioned way. So even, so anger can have power, for example, and I always think about the story of of people who are lifting something off someone who's trapped. They can use the anger of that situation to give them drive and power to shift something that's beyond their normal capability, to shift it off, a car off a child, or a pole off a work colleague. And so it's about how being able to access and have choice, not to be triggered into the emotion. So that's our work, is to release the emotions that hold us in those triggering points, so that then we use the emotions by choice. And so we can drop in. And so those higher emotions, they have the higher vibrational aspects of higher emotions, they sit better in our new bodies, really. The other ones hold a bit more density. So we want to really be attending to those, so we're not triggered in situations, which means we've still got work to do, which we all will for a very long time, because it's an ongoing process. But it's just the knowing of that. And so then once you've really neutralized a lot of things, you can witness pretty extreme acts, and the emotions don't sit in the forefront. It isn't that you don't feel, they just don't drive your behavior.
I call the mind the storyteller. That's the term I give it. And so what the mind does is, when we're charged, when we're triggered in the moment, and we can feel a bit of emotion, the mind with its storytelling will go straight into a pattern of energy that we're holding, a memory. And it will create the story around what happened last time we felt like that. It'll go right back to how it was for us in that last time, and what will happen this time as well, if we go there. So in becoming heart-centered beings, we're having to be very self-honest.
Yeah.
And rather than detracting, deflecting, resisting the emotion that's coming up, like for so long we pushed it down, we pushed it away, and we just got on with life. That's just detracting from it. That's just resisting it. So now we're encouraged, as it comes up in us, to just stop, take a breath, and go into that feeling. And just,
That's right, and that's the difference, isn't it? So
yeah.
emotion often holds a story, whereas we can look at emotion in those two ways. So we can look at emotion as the emotion that holds a story, and then we can look at emotion as the sensory experience that our body is having.
Yeah, it's about feeling into ourselves always. This is as feeling beings, not thinking beings. Thinking is a creative tool that we have, but feeling is who we are. We feel into that charge, we feel into that emotion, and we face ourselves and realize that in this present moment experience right now, we are not back where it happened before, and we can release it. We only have to face it. But many believe that it's so big, it's so dark, it could have power over them, and so they don't face it. They're afraid to face it. The power is actually in not facing it. That's the power it holds over them. So, and this is all part of making space in ourselves. So folding those pieces, those emotional charges, those stories, everything, folding them back. I say to people, embrace them as if they are a piece of you that you can see standing in front of you. Take it in your arms, embrace it with love, and fold it back into your heart and give it deep thanks for the learning that you've carried, as you've carried that for however long you've carried it. And it just resolves. Just like the beautiful magic of the heart, it resolves it back into the light of you, and you move forward different from that little experience or large experience, whatever it is for you.
Beautiful. And what I often do with that kind of process that you're talking about, that folding back in, is standing in front of the mirror, and I'll say to those younger parts of myself, I'm so sorry that you had to go through everything that you went through, and really acknowledge it, because I feel like that's what it is. It's really totally acknowledging whatever needs to be acknowledged, so that energy feels fully embraced, fully acknowledged, and then, you know, often moving into that more higher expanded perspective of going, you know, acknowledging also I wouldn't be who I am without all of these experiences. So this kind of dance until, you know, it can go, you know, and come back into that unified field within again.
Our vibration retracts back into us. When there's fear or doubt present, it comes in very small. We cocoon ourselves. So when there is a heavy emotion present, we will bring ourselves back into ourselves. And the moment we face it and we fold it back into our heart, we literally open and shine again to a new degree, because that's not holding us back. And that affects the whole of consciousness. Every time we resolve a piece with love and kindness within ourselves, we affect the whole of consciousness here. So that's the power of us. That's who we are. So we don't just do it for ourselves, we do it for all our brothers and sisters, for Gaia, for everyone, every time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Big role. We've got a big role here. Every single being on this planet holds a space of a big role.
Yeah, beautiful. So I wouldn't mind going on to, like, I know, Sharron, you've got videos out on YouTube and getting guidance with your chats with Mother Gaia, Lady Gaia, as you call her. Just would you like to share anything for the now moment, expanding into the next now moments over the next weeks and months?
Well, we had an entire up-leveling of consciousness last month, and where we are in this super accelerated time, which is going to keep accelerating, especially till the end of the year, and then a little, well, beyond really. So we need to master and manage ourselves in our energy so that we're being consistent, really, to keep our bodies in good shape, because if we don't do that, we might end up in pain. That's the bottom line of it. So, you know, if you are in pain, look to how you can shift that, or what practices you might need to incorporate. We are going to have some pretty massive waves this month. And you know, they have an astrological alignment, but Gaia always speaks about the big planetary shifts coming with maybe an alignment, but the tipping point of consciousness is the thing that really shifts things. So we're going to have a big one of those around the 21st, and actually I'm going to kind of do a video about that today if I get a chance, because she's given me a lot of information around that over the last couple of years. But yeah, it's we're being shifted, we're being shunted, and it's all into higher consciousness, and we're doing that, you know, as individuals, as a collective, and as a planet, and we're right on the edge of it. We're right on the edge of it, so you can feel the excitement of it. And it's about, you know, tuning in the way that Janine was speaking about before, that tuning into your inner guidance, and then you'll be guided to be where you're meant to be. Everyone will be in the, you know, in the right place, or they'll be placed in the right place. But if you can be attuning to yourself to be guided to be where you're meant to be, lots of people, there'll be lots of different experiences that come for people. Some people might just feel inclined to lie down. Other people might be inclined to go into nature. Some people might be removed from the planet for a while. There's a whole lot of possible scenarios. But yeah, that's going to be a big shift for us into our next level of ascension. And so you might have that experience of feeling like you're running hard, because in a way you are, because energetically things are really moving and shifting. So we're going to then move into a place where we have greater nourishment from our newly formed or newly created or newly overlaid sun. That will be one of the things that comes. And, you know, where are we up to today? We're up to the 9th of December. And so, you know, this whole thing about leaving the time grid, that's why time is going so fast. It's because we've left the matrix in that way. And so, you know, for me, I feel like I've taken half a dozen breaths. I'm at the end of the year. So we're really on the edge of this exciting time. When we move into fifth dimensional frequency in a more anchored way, which is part of our work, that's why we behave as the conduits. We bring in the energies, we put them into the earth, and we bring them back up into ourselves. The very darkest elements that are still a little bit in our world at the moment, Gaia says they won't be able to exist. So we'll be tipped into, you know, this whole new way of being. There's a whole lot of structures to go, and lots of change to come, and it's just about being okay with it. You know, just rest back and know that everything's unfolding perfectly and beautifully in divine timing. Yeah, so I think that would be my sort of
Sharron. What did you mention? Something about the sun?
Yes, it's a too big a story. I'm going to do a video about it today, but what Gaia showed me was that we have this experience, or the sun has this experience where there's this overlay that comes over it as we move into our more fifth dimensional space, and she says that gives us, as humanity, it gives us greater nourishment. So that it you know, we're fed by the sun now, we're nourished by the sun, but it's going to have an up leveling, the sun. So she showed it to me as this, like a comet that leaves from the earth. So it kind of fits very neatly into the Uluru prophecy, but it's not the same. But yeah, this sun has been being built in the earth over the last couple of years that I've been witnessing that. So it gets expelled from the earth, we get shifted through the galaxy, and it overlays our sun. So that is the window for that opened on our winter solstice, and so, you know, we're still in this window, and so the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere with that alignment is has a strong capability, I suppose, for that to occur. So it's this, she calls it a sonic boom and a solar flash. And that, so the likelihood of that happening this year is very strong, and the likelihood of it happening on the 21st, 22nd is also quite high. But probably, like many things, you know, the gateway for it will open earlier. Is there's going to be this massive influx of photonic light and gamma waves and diamond code. So it's like being salt and peppered with ascension codes. All of us are going to get it, you know, so everybody will be up leveled, but some people, I have to say, some people won't make it. I don't know what the percentage of that is, but I want to say it's quite small. So those people will recycle into, my understanding is a 260,000 year cycle. So they will not, we're not leaving the planet. A lot of people have thought that in ascension we would leave the planet. It's not my understanding that we're doing that. But the planet is moving through the galaxy further into the photonic belt, closer to the galactic sun, the galactic center.
Mm-hmm. The ones that you say won't make it, is that because, like, on a deep soul level, they just hadn't chosen to really come on this ascension journey right now?
Well, I haven't really tuned into that too much, but my what my human form would say to that is that it's likely to be those who are carrying too much density to be able to make it. And so, you know, we've hung around for a while to take a bigger number of people with us. So they're likely to be those who have really been not on any personal development journey whatsoever, who don't sit with kindness in their hearts. You know, I think there are a lot of beings on our earth who aren't conscious, but they in that 3D way, they sit in community spirit, they sit with empathy and with love in their hearts. And I think that they will come through. So, you know, it will still happen in a bit of a wave, but we'll all sort of go together except for the tail end. And I think probably those are people who've just been saturated in evil, really, at that end of the spectrum. They might be also, it's an interesting concept, they might be, we have a whole lot of beings who really don't sit with a soul within them. And so maybe it will be them who don't come through. I haven't really talked to Gaia about those who won't come through, because always our focus is on the action to take to help more people come through. But that would be my human response to it. What would you say to that, Janine? Who doesn't come through?
So my knowing of this is that there's souls that haven't finished their experience in the 3D world, and those ones will stay in the 3D world. So they won't be any part of the waves, the first waves that go across, and could be many, as Sharron said before, could be many thousands of years and incarnations before they move across. So 3D reality is dissolving. But it stays long enough for souls to complete the journey through it. And some souls' experiences in it are just really beginning. So yeah, it'll just continue to carry on, but not for us. For us, we are all part of the wave, those that are on the leading edge, that have come here as the forerunners, as the space holders, those that are awakening now, and those, as Sharron said, that are community minded, have their heart in the right place, in unity and community, but still haven't awakened to the truth of themselves on deeper levels. They will come too in one of the waves going through. So yeah, and there is waves, and there's already a wave ahead. So there's already one gone through some time ago, and we're all us here have come here on purpose. We're here for the purpose of supporting those that are readying themselves. So this is our service here. We have been in the fifth dimensional world for quite a while. You could say that we come from our future, and we've come back here to assist the next wave through, and possibly even the wave after that. It just depends on each one on the leading edge to their own contract with self and their soul. So that's my knowing on the move to fifth dimensional reality.
We have a lot of beings on our earth who are a bit like background actors in a movie. Yes. So they have been having a role to play here, but they won't it won't be part of their reality to move.
Absolutely, Sharron. Yeah.
And there are two loops that Gaia shows me. So one is this loop of this 260,000 year cycle at the beginning of this portal, and the other is at the end, and it's more of a refinement, so that exists at the other end of this portal. And also, what was I going to say about that? That there are people who are going to wake up like that. Woo! So yes. This solar flash sonic boom has the capacity to do that, and people also. One of my sisters, I have three sisters, one of my sisters said to me in the weekend, so how will we know that we've done it? And I said, you'll wake up and you will have access to gifts that you didn't have before. That's how you'll know. You'll have telepathy, or you'll be able to see through the veils, or you will be able to have very strong visions in your third eye, or you'll have total kind of empathy with someone where you didn't before. There'll be at least one aspect, in your clairs that will be opened.
You'll wake up and life will look very different, and your connection to life will be on such a different level that you'll be awestruck for a while until you get used to it. It'll be like a child discovering nature and the world for the first time. That's what it's going to be.
Yes, and Gaia says that we're going to have experiences like the Aurea Borealis, that in the day and in the night, when we first move through to this higher ascended state. But I'm not sure whether that's at the end of this little journey or whether that's a bit further on. But that's what she said to me about our new world, that those will be the lights that we will be experiencing day and night. And also at that point, so I've seen the Earth more recently from that future point. And so the Earth has this vibrating golden light for a start. It has a new sound, but I think I might have spoken about, I don't know, did I speak about that last time?
Which part?
No. Okay.
So the golden light. No, but I'm experiencing it, so I do.
Yeah. So the Earth. Exactly. So when Gaia showed me about this ascension aspect, and so I saw that the Earth changes from having this blue hue, the strong blue hue, like a cobalt blue hue. It shifts from that to having a golden hue, and it's more it pulses.
Yes.
Golden hue pulses, and you can hear a new sound. And when I tuned into that, God said, then this will be a hallelujah moment, because this is the point at which all of the other planets in the omniverse hear the sound of Gaia having returned to her fifth dimensional way of being. And so the sound changes. So it has this new sound, this golden light, and it has this pulsating like this around the edges of it. And then more recently, when I went and looked at it, it had all of these it had sparkling light within it. So these like little silver stars, that's how it looked within that golden light. So, that's that's where we're heading to. We're heading to paradise on earth.
You're describing what's been happening to me off and on for about the last 3 months. And the first time it happened, I went into a new area, and the whole area was this golden hue, this soft, honey liquid golden hue, and the feeling was delicious.
Yeah.
Say, and it had these specks, iridescent whitey silver specks within it, like playing, dancing, just gently, very gently. And I thought it was something to do with the area. I thought, oh my gosh, what a high vibe area. And it lasted for about 24 hours, and then it dissipated. Then it came back about a week later while I was in this area. And I thought, there it is again. And it lasted many hours again. And the whole time I'm in it, it's like my heart pulsates gently, like my heart's actually caressing the rest of me.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's happened about 5 or 6 times, but of course by the 3rd time I realised it's not outside of me in the world, it's more inside of me. And it took me 2 or 3 times to understand that. So it's a whole new piece. And so you've just described it beautifully. I haven't got the new sound yet, but I'm excited by this new piece that you've just described. So, and oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. My recollection of 5D when from being in there is that this is a part of that. This is what that reality is. But I've only just right now in listening to you put the two together. So it's like, oh.
It's the magic of light workers coming together.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely.
Different parts of the same.
Yes, we give each other pieces, and it's like, oh yes, yes, absolutely. A big yes to light workers coming together in our wisdom and our knowing and our love and our openness.
Yes, and this, this is a concern of a lot of light workers, and it's been my experience as well. But I want to assure people that Gaia speaks about this is now the time where the tribes are gathering. Yes. So this is now the time where people will be, gathering the groups, their family, their whānau, their wider community, coming together. Yeah, soul families. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of shifting and shunting going on, on in all sorts of ways, geographically, job-wise. Relationships, all of those things. They're going to have some quick rearrangements over the next little while, but when we settle into next year, into 2021, that was weird. I said to some of my little nephews, I'll see you in 2021 the other week. We had a family event last weekend, so that seemed a bit strange, but come January it's going to be very evident that we'll have a knowingness that we're in a new time, and even those people who are not awake yet will have a little sense of it, but by the time we get into March they will be evidencing it, they will be able to see it. But it's not like we all get dumped over in one way, that's still this movement through, and so we don't really know how that's all going to look yet, but we know that it's going to be amazing, and we know that it's hard to believe how close it is.
I'd like to add there too that by January we're going to feel so much different going through this time in December and the build up and the and post 21-22 of December. But in January also the world's going to be in more chaos than what it is now by far. And so we're going to be called from our inner self to be more separate and yet still hold the space. So it's going to be a big time in all levels for us. But there's absolutely no doubt in the growing number of the light workers here that we can do this, that this is what we're here for, to support the masses, to show by the example of the love that we hold and the light that we are, that they can be that, they are that, and coming home to that themselves, but and not to get caught up in what's happening around the world. Hold space for it, don't get caught up in it.
That's exactly right. So that's the art of where we need to be next.
Yes.
Just to be the absolute observer.
Yes.
The observer of what's
Absolutely.
going on. Yeah, just observe what's going on. And, and, you know, Gaia continually reminds me to remind people to just keep looking at things from many different places and spaces.
Yeah, look with the inner eyes, look through the filter of love at any moment and pour love onto the situation and take, as you said before, inspired action right in the moment when it's called for, and step back and hold the space when it's called for. And it's always our own discernment and choice. So don't get caught up in it, because the awakening is part of this huge cleansing that's going on here. And yeah, it has to ramp up a bit before it's going to die down. And that's where the spontaneous awakenings of many people are going to happen, Sharron, is right through that period. So it's actually a very, very positive part of this, even though it's not going to look like that. So
yes, and Gaia calls that a compression. You know,
yeah.
it's like this squeeze, so people have to release. But what people who are, you know, in the light worker, light warrior community have to know is that you only have to be holding your own light. You only have to be doing your own work, and the emanation of that will have a collective effect.
Yes.
But it's not your job to awaken others.
No, not at all.
So don't get dragged into that, because your job is to hold the highest vibration that you can possibly hold and to keep clearing. So you're clearing the field, you're in balance, you're in center, and you're holding the highest vibration that you can possibly hold. And then that has this effect of connecting with the collective and brushing against them. And the collective of light workers has that energetic holding pattern that then affects the others. But people have to do, you know, everyone chose how they would do this. And so we just have to allow them to. And they will come to you. They will come in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for. Every single human being has the power of choice. This entire reality is filled with choice. And we can never push another one into belief. And if we are pushing or trying our hardest to get that person to believe what we believe, then we need to look at ourselves and what that is about. So it's about allowing them to open in their own time, because we just meet resistance otherwise.
And then you lower your vibration in response.
Yes.
So,
and then it takes a few days to lift that vibration back up, sometimes more than a week. So just let it be, let them be, and hold them in the space of love. Wait, just wait for them to be ready.
Yeah, that's right.
And
then they'll reach out.
Yeah, they'll turn to us then. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's such a deep honoring, really, of that free will and that free choice, you know, and just being, you know, as well as everything you've said, being our most authentic self as a way shower, as a light worker, whatever we want to call it. But really, it's just being our authentic light, authentic self. And that in that, it offers an invitation of a different possibility and a different choice. And then when people make that choice from their own free will, you know, it's an empowering choice, you know.
Absolutely.
The magnetism.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you, ladies. I feel very at peace and joyful from this conversation. We'll close it off, because I know, Janine, you need to get away around just after 12:30, so we'll round it up. So yeah, just any final words, Sharron, or anything that you're up to that you'd like to share with people, remind people to check in with your channel, and so on.
Oh, yeah, so I'm bringing through regular videos on Facebook at the moment, because it's quicker production. So I'm doing that on my Inner Sanctum Facebook page. You can go to my website, dub.sharonmartin.com, and find Facebook and YouTube from there. Lots of exciting things are happening for people in my healing space. And I just want to say, just keep placing your hand on your heart and just go to that place. And And if you feel on a wobble, then ask your heart, what do you need to come into peace? And then try and give that to yourself. So yeah, so much love to all of you. We really are on this exciting ride. It's like a Hawaiian wave, but it's exciting, and we will be landing where we land, and it will be beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Janine?
So you can follow me on Facebook, where I post nearly every day, and you can find me on my website, which is on each of my Facebook posts. A lot of people call me the Heart Lady.
The Heart Lady is the rest of that sentence. It looks like Janine just froze.
Yes.
So hopefully she'll come back.
So my
Oh, you just froze there for a moment, Janine. Do you want to repeat that last line? You were just talking about some people call you the Heart Lady.
Oh, yes. So some people call me the Heart Lady. They have done for years. So the name of my website is www.theheartlady.net. And you are very, very welcome to join me in the space of love, where I see lots of clients from around the world and run a weekly group as well. So yeah, it's been a joy and a pleasure to be here, and connecting my heart with Sharron's and Mary Jo's. Always a pleasure to come together and have a conversation. And to every beautiful one that watches this video, I welcome you home to the heart of yourself, because that's where you're moving now.
Beautiful.
So simplicity, breath, heart, home. Thank you, beautiful ladies. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you for this co-creation and this example of really living fifth dimensional living and co-creation and collaboration. It fills my heart with so much joy to be with your beautiful light and presence. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo, and thank you for providing this platform, because I think that it really does provide support for people to have this kind of conversation going on here. So thank you so very much for being the initiator of that and the holder of space for it. Thank you.
I think this is part of the change that's looking to happen in my world, is to open up more space so I can participate in more of this and ignite more of this and co-create more of this. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, the three of us together have sent out such a beautiful energy this day, and such a magnification that my prayer before we started was that we expand out and touch as many hearts as possible within this conversation. So thank you for the opportunity to do that.
And my prayer was that those who we connect with will feel the resonance and feel seen and heard, and it makes me tearful, just, you know, supported in these times. And yeah. Cuddle.
And safe, really, isn't it? You know, people just encourage people to go to a feeling of being safe, because we're held by so many beings beyond our earth as well.
That all is well, and we can trust the wave, we can trust the surfboard, we can trust the water underneath, we can trust where we're going, we can trust where we are.
Yeah.
We only have to trust in ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. All is well in all of our creations. Namaste. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.